Hey, it's me. Last week we made a video about one of the best films ever made, and there was one thing that even people who loved the film didn't like. It was the ending. So today we're going to talk about what would have been a better ending to The Departed. Oh, spoiler alert if you haven't seen the movie by now. Go ahead and do that. Come back and then watch this video, because I'm going to ruin the entire movie for you. Anyway, let's get started. Okay, so just to get us in the mood, here's a quick recap. The Departed is a remake of the Hong Kong crime drama Infernal Affairs, and like its predecessor, the story follows two moles. They're an undercover cop named Colin Sullivan, who infiltrated the Irish mob, and a mole working for the mob, who infiltrated the police force. The identity of the latter is unknown, but he has risen through the ranks to become a sergeant, and when a major drug deal goes bad, he comes under suspicion from his police colleagues. To flush him out, Captain Queenan places Colin Sullivan, the mole in the Irish mob, in charge of the investigation into the botched drug deal. What follows is a cat-and-mouse game with plenty of plot twists until the final confrontation, where it is revealed that neither of the moles knows that the other exists. In the end, the undercover cop sacrifices himself, and the mole in the police force gets killed by his boss, Frank Costigan. Now, what did we love about the movie? For starters, it's superbly directed by Martin Scorsese, who puts his stamp on every frame. The story is tautly written, keeping us on the edge of our seats throughout, and the performances are uniformly excellent. Leonardo DiCaprio gives the performance of his career. Jack Nicholson is scenery-chewing persona, and even the supporting cast members like Matt Damon, Mark Wahlberg, and Vera Farmiga have a lot to do with their characters, and they all do a fine job. Another thing that makes The Departed such a good movie is how the themes of identity, loyalty, and betrayal are explored. Colin Sullivan grows up without parents and is taken in by the mobster Frank Costigan. He struggles with his identity as the movie progresses, and eventually decides to embrace his true self and die as a hero instead of living as a traitor. And the film never lets us forget that the ultimate evil in the movie is the mob. Cops can be corrupt and turn out to be moles, but at least they uphold the law and serve society. The mob, however, kills people for a living and has no regard for human life. The message is clear. No matter what, never join the mob. So what didn't we like? Well, the ending. As we said in our previous video, the cat-and-mouse game between Colin and the mole in the police force is the main draw. But once we find out who the mole is, the game is over and the remaining 20 minutes of screen time feels unnecessary. We understand that there needs to be a resolution, but the way it is handled feels rushed and unearned. Let's take a closer look. When Queenan tells Billy that Colin is the mole, we feel for a second that the truth is finally going to come out, but he doesn't tell anyone. Instead, he goes to see Costello and warns him that the department has a leak. We're supposed to believe that he thinks that Costello is the mole, but it doesn't make sense. Costello is his right-hand man. If he were the mole, Queenan wouldn't know where to start looking. He would have known that the mole was in the highest ranks of the department and had more or less control over the entire police force. Instead, he sends his team after Dignam, a guy who was barely involved in the case and whose only crime was that he was friends with the mole. Of course, this leads to a confrontation between Queenan and Costello, and when Costello is arrested, he reveals that he knew Queenan was a mole in the police force all along. Then he takes his own life, rather than spend the rest of his days behind bars. In the meantime, Colin finds out from Billy that he's not the mole. He confronts the mole, Sergeant Barrigan, and tries to arrest him. But Barrigan kills the captain and tries to kill Colin. However, he is unsuccessful and ends up dead. The movie closes with Colin meeting up with Madeline and telling her that he always loved her before dying in her arms. the ending feels unearned, because it is based on a misunderstanding. All of this could have been avoided if Queenan had done his job properly. If he had told Billy that Colin was the mole, then Colin would have been arrested, and things could have wrapped up much sooner. As it is, we're forced to sit through an entire conversation between Queenan and Costello when it est obvious that Costello is Youant the mole. If Queenan wasn't sure, he should have kept digging instead of jumping to conclusions. Plus, why does he tell Billy that Colin is the mole in the first place? Surely he could have kept it a secret until they met face to face. Telling Billy makes no sense and ruins the whole thing. Another reason the ending feels unearned is because we never see any fallout from the revelation that there was a mole in the police force. Everyone acts like it's no big deal, and we don't buy it. If we were in charge, we would have written an ending where the mole was exposed and brought to justice, but the repercussions of his infiltration were still felt. How would the police force change after such a scandal? Would new procedures be put in place? Would old cases be reopened? Would people be demoted or fired? Would the morale be affected? These are just a few of the questions that the film raises, but never answers. The mole in the police force is such a serious issue that we don't think it would be swept under the rug so easily. Then there's Colin's death. It feels forced and unnecessary. The movie builds up Colin and Madeline's relationship throughout, but it never really goes anywhere. They have a couple of nice scenes together, but there's no chemistry between them, and we don't buy that they were once in love. When Colin finally tells her that he loves her and dies, we couldn't care less. Plus, Colin's death serves no narrative purpose. The audience already knows that he's the mole. There was no need to have him say it out loud, and the scene doesn't add anything to the story. In fact, it distracts from it. If Colin had lived, he would have faced justice for his crimes. Instead, we're treated to a romantic death scene that makes no sense. So what would have been a better ending? Here's our idea. After the mole is killed, Billy walks into Captain Queenan's office to find him holding a gun. He asks Billy, "Do you want to know who the mole was?" Billy says, "Yes." Queenan puts the gun down and looks at a picture on his desk of him and his family. He says, "He's already dead." Billy leaves, and we hear Queenan put the gun to his head and pull the trigger. The next day, a press conference is held to announce that the mole has been found dead. The police commissioner announces that an internal investigation will be launched to find out how such a mole could have infiltrated the police force. The last shot is of an empty picture frame hanging on the wall in the police office, implying that the mole had been someone important. This ending would have been better for several reasons. First, it would have made Queenan a tragic figure. He's been a mole for so long that he's forgotten who he really is. He has lost his sense of identity and has become the very thing he is trying to fight against. In the original film, he is killed by his own daughter, which is a terrible waste. He could have redeemed himself by exposing the mole and bringing him to justice. Second, it would have highlighted the theme of betrayal. The mole wasn't just betrayed by Colin, but by the system itself. Even Queenan was betrayed by his own daughter. Third, it would have made the ending more ambiguous. We would have been left wondering who the mole was and what he had done. Fourth, it would have been more realistic. The police wouldn't just move on as if nothing had happened. There would be an investigation, and a lot of changes would need to be made. Fifth, it would have been more thought. The ending of the movie makes us think about the nature of identity, loyalty, and betrayal, but it doesn't challenge us. It's easy to understand and easy to agree with. The original ending challenges us to think about how far we would go to protect the ones we love, and how much we're willing to sacrifice for our beliefs. So that's our pitch for a better ending to The Departed. What do you think? Let us know in the comments below. And if you liked this video, check out our other video on The Departed, which contains some interesting trivia and behind-the-scenes facts. Thanks for watching and see you next time.